Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. I am so excited today. I am going to do one of my very, very favorite recipes. It's a Christmas brunch coffee cake that I make every year. Well, I make it in between too. Well, as you can tell, I'm in the festive spirit. Got my homemade Christmas ugly sweater on and my Christmas hat, and we're gonna make some delicious, delicious cake for Christmas. And we're gonna make it with no electricity on a butane stove. So come on, let's go. Why don't we get started? First of all, I am starting my Christmas decorations for the van. As you can see, I'm not a very good decorator, but I'm gonna do my best. But let's get back to what's really exciting today. As you can tell by the title, Christmas coffee cake, the most delicious ever with no electricity. So if you don't have any electric, if you don't have an electric system, don't worry about it. You can make this coffee cake. I'm gonna show you exactly what it's gonna take. Oh, and yeah, I am trying out a new Omnia. It's called an oven, but it's not really an oven. It's a pan made up with different contraptions. And one of the inserts that they have is this silicone liner that's supposed to help things from burning. But you can use it on top of the butane stove. So let's see how that works. Let me show you what we're gonna be using today. This is a hack that I made, and so easy. 5 minutes. The prep time for this is 5 minutes. So fast, so quick, you won't even believe it. But I get this KRUSTEAZ cinnamon swirl mix, and it has everything already in it. It has, you know, all the flour, so you don't have to measure and all of that for those of you who are into really cooking but want delicious food. Then what you also have in that packet, they have the packet of crumbles that goes on the top of delicious coffee cake. And then what I do to take it up a notch, they call for water, but I use half and half or milk, but you can use water if you don't have half and half. I add some vanilla, a little dash of vanilla. I add some cinnamon. Oops, my egg almost rolled away. Let me hold on to that. I add some cinnamon. Instead of the oil they call for, I add melted butter. And then I also, did I say vanilla? In case I didn't, I add some vanilla. And I add just a splash of French vanilla, maybe a couple tablespoons of French vanilla International Delight. But you don't have to add that. You can do it, you can make it just the way it's called for on the box, but this really makes it super, super special. So let me show you. 5 minutes, start timing me. Okay. So it calls for, I'm going to read from the back so you can see as I go. It calls for 2/3 cup water, 1/4 cup vegetable oil, and 1 egg. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit, maybe 1/3 cup of cream, or water. I'm sorry, half and half, excuse me. Then I'm going to beat that up a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my butter. I only add 1/3 cup to begin with because I want to have enough liquid that I can still use. Then I'm going to add my egg. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat this up. And then I'm going to, after I get that mixed up a little bit, because you want thick, kind of dense cake for coffee cake. Then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little, just a tiny bit more of this. Then I'm going to add a little bit, just a dash of French vanilla, maybe a couple tablespoons, 1, 2 tablespoons. Then what I will do, add a little bit of cinnamon, a couple sprinkles of cinnamon, about maybe 2 capfuls or a tablespoon of vanilla. And then I'm going to mix this up. Now, how long am I at? I'm at probably, what, about 2 minutes right now? So let's get this starting to mix up. Now, it's still not quite at the texture that I want, because I want it, even though I want it dense, I want it to be able to scoop it out. So what I'm going to do is, as I go, I'll add more liquid as I go until I get to where I have it at the consistency that I want it at. Adding a little bit at a time so you don't get it too runny or watery. So I'm continuing here, continuing, and it's almost where I want it. Now, one thing about cakes, the more you beat them, the fluffier and the lighter they will get. I like coffee cake kind of dense, like thick, so I'm not going to, normally I would beat it maybe 100 or more times, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to get it, I'm going to a little bit more, and then I'm going to show you what the texture is so you can see for yourself. Okay, here we go. It's right about the texture that I like it at, and the liquid is all in there, so I'm going to show you. Oops, uh-oh. Hey, this is a show that you go, you know, whatever happens, just happens, we keep going. But you see this, how it's stirred up, and it's almost doughy a little bit like that, but I think just a little bit more, tab more, and then we're good. Okay, so just about, I'm at what, about 4 minutes now on my 5-minute prep, and it's good, perfect. Now look at this again. See how this, it's coming down, but it's a little bit sticky, but it's still creamy, and that's the texture that you want it to be. You can see how it looks. You can tell by how it looks and how it feels. And that's it. It's ready to put in. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this, and I haven't used this before, so this is my first time. So I'm going to take this, and I think I'm going to spray this with a little bit of spray to help keep it from sticking. And then what I'm going to do, now you don't want to use all of this. You want to use about half of it to start with. I'm going to take half of this, and I'm going to spread it around, and I'll explain why I'm only using half in a few minutes. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the rest off of here. Remember, it's still kind of doughy. And then I'm going to spread this around, and it will rise. So I'm going to spread that around, get it evenly distributed here. Now you can do this in a regular, just, you know, 8 by 10 or whatever those little pans are, or in a little pan in your oven. But I'm using, since this is how the Omnia cooking kit comes, I have to use the cake mold that they have. Now, what you're going to do, let me show you what's next. All right, you're going to take the packet that comes in here. This is the streusel mix. It's the brown sugar and cinnamon, and you're just going to take that and you're going to sprinkle it all over the top. You're going to use about half of it. Sprinkle it all over the top. Get it sprinkled good. Sorry, my crazy ugly sweater is kind of getting in the way a little bit here, but that's okay. So get that spread out all over here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the rest of your mix, oops, and you're going to divide it into about 4 or 5 different sections. 1, and just put it on the top there. 2, 3, kind of even, but it doesn't have to be. This is not rocket science here, so it's, you're going to put this here. I want to get all of this out of here that I can. And then you're going to take the rest of your packet here and you're just going to sprinkle it on the top of what you just added. So every little bit of dough, or cookie batter, or cake batter, whatever you want to call it, every bit of this cake batter is covered with this. This is just a streusel. It's made up of like cinnamon and brown sugar. It's kind of like what you would make up when you're making your cinnamon rolls, what you put in the middle of the, oops, uh-oh. I'll have to get that up. And you're done. You're basically done. Now, if you were putting it in the oven, you'd put it in the oven like this, but I'm not putting it in the oven. I am putting it in to my Omnia. Let me take this glove off so I can, I've got sugar everywhere. All right, I'm going to put this up here. All right, I haven't used this, but it says to have it on low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to get it down on low and I'm going to let it cook. And we're going to see how it goes and I'll show you. Now, one thing I do, about 5 minutes before it's stopped baking, I go in and I put dots of butter all on the top and then I let it continue to bake. And that's what I've done when I'm cooking in a traditional oven, and that's what I'm going to do on this too. But let's see how this turns out. I haven't used this before, like I said, so we'll see. Gina from Vanlife with Gina made some croissants in it the other day and they turned out really good, but she was using like a rack that you put the croissants on. I don't have the rack, but I can see the steam. Can you see the steam here coming out of here? So it's starting to cook. It's definitely starting to cook. So we'll be back in about 20 minutes and we'll check and see. I know I probably shouldn't be taking the top off this, but I just can't help it. I'm so curious to see how it's coming along. We're about 15 minutes, 20 minutes into it now. Let's see. Oh my goodness, it is cooking. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I probably let all the heat out, but oh, it looks so good. I can hardly wait. It looks so good. Oh, yum, yum, yum. In a few minutes, we'll have delicious coffee cake. Well, it looks like it's finally done, but don't do what I did. I kept trying over and over. I was like a kid in a candy jar. I kept trying to peek and finally I'd open it and look a little bit and close it and open it. So don't do that. The other thing I need to let you know is how you tell it's done is if you stick a fork or knife in it and it comes out clean with no dough. I did that and it came out clean, but I still didn't think it was done because in an oven, a conventional oven, without it being covered, the top gets brown. But even though this is done, the top didn't get as brown, so I didn't recognize, but it is done. It takes anywhere from, I'd say, 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, depending on the indoor temperature. Also, I had the door open and cold air coming in and blowing. So don't do that either. But this is the first time using this. So now is going to be time for the good part. I'll be back in a minute and show you how it turned out and most importantly, how it tastes. All right, let's taste this and see. I let the bottom get a little brown because like I said, I kept expecting the top to get brown and didn't go by what I know, which is when you stick a fork or knife in it and it comes out clean. But let's see. This is fluffy and light, moist. This is good. I need a big cup of milk with this. Well, I am going to say goodbye sooner than I usually do because I want to eat this before it gets cold with a big, big, giant cup of ice cold milk. Thank you for joining us. Usually I put it down and come back to it, but I'm not putting this down this time. So thank you. Tune in to Out and Abouts on Mondays, Saturday Lives at 3 o'clock Pacific time. That'll be 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We had a wonderful live this last week with Kevin from 30 and a Wake Up. He gave some amazing tips on how to build your YouTube business. So go back if you haven't seen that live. The live that aired on December 5th with Kevin from, again, 30 and a Wake Up. Just an amazing live. He is more towards the middle of the video. And then just stay tuned. I have a Out and About that will air before this, and it's a beautiful, beautiful little canyon area in Arizona on my way home from Lollapalooza. So stay tuned. We'll see you. Subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'm going to go back to this coffee cake. May your journey be filled with joy and blessings. Till next time.